Welcome to Horror Bois. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Bois. And this isn't any old podcast on this old internet. No, my friends. This is a horror movie review podcast where every week we review a horror movie.
Right.
Typically series by series, and that's why we're in the middle of a series right now. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Final Destination 3. If you want to know our thoughts on it, for Chris's, you have to wait till the end. For mine, you'll find out like in the middle of the podcast, typically.
Yeah.
But then I'll retell you at the end like it's new information.
There you go. Stick around for the whole story.
Yeah. Alright. So, the movie, it's Final Destination 3. The director and co-writer is the returning James Wong, who directed and wrote the original movie. Its co-writer is the returning Glenn Morgan, who wrote the first movie. We got the returning late Shirley Walker, who worked on the first and the second movie. Actually, she breaks the tradition. She did both. But then we go right back to that tradition because we got the director of photography, the returning Robert McLaughlin of the first movie.
The first movie.
Our production designer is not returning from the first movie. It is Mark S. Freeborn of Black Christmas 06, Trick or Treat, Breaking Bad, and Bates Motel. Then we got our special makeup effects designer / department head, Toby Lingala, of Lake Placid, Scary Movie 3, Disturbing Behavior, Santa Claus 2, Black Christmas 06, The Wicker Man, and Supernatural. Yeah, that's it for him. Yeah. Next we got our special effects coordinator, Rory Cutler of Blair Witch, which is the sequel movie. Not me just being cool and shortening the whatever the first. What's Blair Witch? I don't remember what it's supposed to come after that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Black Christmas 06, The Fly 2, Blade Trinity, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and Jumanji. Our stunt coordinator is the returning J.J. Marco from the original. I think. Ooh. He might be from the second one, honestly. I honestly don't remember. I assume he's coming back from the first one because that's what most people were doing. You know, when the director and writer came back, and who were also producers on it, they came back and were brought back all their team, basically. But lastly, thing we bring up before we go into the meat of the show is our digital visual effects and 3D animation was done by Meteor Studios, Soho VFX, and the returning Digital Dimension, who I believe has worked on all 3 movies. I think. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I know I said it, but don't quote me on it. You ready to talk about the movie itself, Chris?
Yeah.
I need fake excitement, Chris. I know you're really tired. I know we're filming this at a different time than normal, but you gotta pretend like you're excited. This is an audio podcast. We gotta be excited about the movie we're talking about. Or if you don't like the movie, I guess you could be mad, but you gotta have emotion.
No emotion.
Okay. We open with our title card and credits playing over carnival footage, including this Plinko /
It's really bad CGI.
Yeah.
Pinball.
Yeah, but it feels like Plinko almost with the way it goes in. Oh.
Yeah, it's pinball.
All right, fine.
But I'll forgive you for thinking it's Plinko.
No, I'm gonna call it Plinko. But
the CGI is pretty bad.
The ball falls into the death hole, not the luck or something else. Fate, I think, maybe? I didn't write down this is me trying to remember the movie that I watched a couple days ago.
Yeah,
We transition into our main character, Wendy, watching her boyfriend, Jason, her best friend, Carrie, and her best friend's boyfriend, Kevin, as they ride the High Dive, which is a drop tower ride like Tower of Terror or Scream at Six Flags. She looks at the picture she took where the V isn't lit up, so it says, High Die.
Ah! I sure hope they don't die.
Fair enough. Well, we'll tell you if they do when we get through this movie. Wendy is played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead of Sky High, The Ring 2, The Thing, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Black Christmas 2006, alongside most of the crew of this movie, as well as Horror Boy alums Katie Cassidy of Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, Andrea Martin of the original Black Christmas, and the Final Destination alum Kristen Cloak of the original Final Destination. Yeah. Someday we'll watch Black Christmas 2006. It's this year. We're watching it at Christmas time. It's one of the 4 movies. Jason is played by Jesse Moss of Ginger Snaps, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, and Uninvited, alongside Horror Boy alum and Final Destination alum, the late Alf Humphrey of Final Destination 2. Carrie is played by Gina Holden of AVPR, Sand Sharks, yeah, and Saw 3D along Horror Boy alum and Final Destination alum, Chad Danella of the original Final Destination. Alright, one more person to introduce in this round of introductions, because that's the beginning of all these teen horror style movies, is let me introduce you to 27 characters. Remember back when we did this show and I would just say the character name and we got to move on? Mm-hmm. But then I was like, I should respect the actors who did the hard work.
Yeah.
Stupid Austin.
And be the, people actually hiring them.
Yeah. Kevin is played by Ryan Merriman of Ring 2, Halloween Resurrection, and is, in my opinion, the king of the DComs for his roles in Smart House, Luck of the Irish, and A Ring of Endless Light, which in that movie he was alongside Horror Boy alum Jared Padalecki of Friday the 13th, 2009. If you want to hear us talk about Smart House or Luck of the Irish, follow that link to our other YouTube channel where we did commentary tracks on it if you want to. We never got to A Ring of Endless Light. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry, Ryan Merriman. Please forgive us.
Yeah. Oopsies.
But don't worry, the series is just on hiatus. We'll come back with it. Don't worry. Wendy's hair is blown by a roller coaster, which makes her look dramatically at the Devil's Flight coaster.
The devil. He's never in anything ever anywhere.
The crew heads to get some snacks. Kevin takes the camera for the yearbook from Wendy and takes an upskirt shot of a random girl. Wendy then takes a picture with the flash on right in his face as punishment. Jason and Kevin go to pick up the food, and Carrie tells Wendy she plans to break up with Kevin after graduation.
Oh my gosh, it'd be really awkward if he planned to marry her or something.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I sure hope that's not the case.
I don't know what you're talking about. When Kevin and Jason get back, Kevin tells Wendy that a shot of Ashley and Ashlyn would sell yearbooks. Ashley is played by Chellen Simmons of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, the Carrie TV remake, and the It miniseries alongside Horror Boy alums John Ritter of Bride of Chucky and Olivia Hussey of Black Christmas. Ashlyn is played by Crystal Lowe of Children of the Corn 7, Black Christmas 06, Wrong Turn 2, and Snakes on a Plane, alongside Horror Boy alum Lynn Shay of multiple Nightmare on Elm Streets, and probably something else we've covered. I don't know. She's done a lot. But I think
She's the old lady from the Conjuring guys.
yeah, well, we don't bring up
You're
these people. You're adding too much details. I just don't remember if we covered her on anything else specifically on this channel. But yeah,
She's one of the few actresses we bring up, and I go, that's a name I recognize.
Well, we're talking about snakes on a plane because who was in this one? Crystal Lowe, and one other person who was in it, not in it, it was directed by the late David R. Ellis, who was the director of Final Destination 2. So yeah, moving on. Wendy goes over and takes a picture of them holding their carnival prize of an inflatable palm tree. All right, moving on. Just thought I should mention that picture. I don't know. Maybe it'll come up again.
I don't know why.
And we also see
probably not active. That seems silly that would come up.
Yeah, I don't know why it would ever come up again. I just wrote it down for fun. We also see Frankie creepily filming the girls' butts without their knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie's
does do that.
Frankie's kind of
the worst part of the movie.
Yeah. The actor seems like genuinely like a decent dude who like I watched like interviews and like, but like man, is this character the worst character ever?
Yeah, he does just suck objectively.
Yeah, Frankie is played by Sam Easton of The Butterfly Effect, where he worked alongside writers of Final Destination 2, Eric Bess and J. Mackie Gruber.
Yeah.
The crew starts walking and Kevin starts dancing like an idiot. I mean, he does it kind of impressively, but also like he's like I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know why this scene made the movie. Because it doesn't go on like for super long, but it goes on for long enough where you go, why is this happening?
Yeah. It's not relevant to like the pictures that get taken either. So.
No, because Wendy tries to get a picture of him, but her sister Julie and Julie's friends Perry and Amber walk in front of her. Julie and presumably her friends aren't seniors, so they shouldn't be there because this is like a senior event thing that both sometimes feels like a carnival but also has like real rides that make it definitely feel like it would be a theme park. I don't know where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Weird, like way too high quality pop-up fair.
Yeah. Whatever. Julie is played by Amanda Crew of The Haunting in Connecticut, alongside Horror Boy alum Kyle Gallner of Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 and Scream 2022. Perry is played by Maggie Ma of I Love You, Beth Cooper, alongside Horror Boy alum Hayden Panettiere of Scream 4, or Screform is what I call it. Screform?
Huh? Wow.
Screform?
No,
and she's also in Scream 6, but we haven't covered that yet, so I can't mention that yet. I started writing it. I was like, oh, wait, no, we actually haven't covered that. We just watched it.
Yeah.
But it's coming, I think, this year. I think I figured out a place to put it later in the year. If you want to hear us talk about Scream 6, we definitely will at some point. Maybe this year.
Yeah, because we've consumed it, and we'll watch it again when it is available for streaming.
It is available for streaming already. So that's why I think I put it on the schedule. I think I found a spot on the schedule is more what it is. It's available.
And time is weird when the way that
it only takes like a couple months now.
To streaming so fast now. Yeah, it's oof.
Amber,
we're waiting like a full year for stuff to go on to DVD.
That's fair.
But yeah.
Amber,
anyways,
who is Julie's other friend, is played by Ecstasia Sanders, and we'll pretty much never bring her up again. She's in another scene, and I might mention her again, but man, does she literally not matter.
Not do much, anything at all? Yeah.
Wendy takes a picture of Julie flipping her off as proof she was there. Wendy stops to take a picture of Lewis as he's doing the strongman hammer and bell game. I don't know if there's like a specific name for that. It's like a test of strength game thing. You all know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you hit the hammer.
The strongman hammer thing.
Yeah, that's what I call it. I call it the strongman hammer and bell game. See, we're on the same wavelength, Chris. Lewis is played by Texas Battle, which is just the coolest name of all time.
Yeah.
of Dragon Ball Evolution and Wrong Turn 2 alongside Horror Boy alums Ken Kersinger of Freddy vs. Jason, Erica Learhison of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03, and was directed by Joe Lynch, who had cameos in Hatchet 2 and Victor Crowley. Someday we'll cover the Wrong Turn movies, maybe. I don't know. They get really rough, from my understanding. Like just not good.
Yeah.
But I really want to...
nothing of value in the movie.
I really want to see the first two. But, you know... And we'll probably cover them, because... I think they're on the list somewhere in the next 9 years. But... They were higher, because at one point, but then I watched videos on it, and I was like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe I don't want to suffer through these anytime soon.
Maybe we delay this.
Yeah. I own them. Well, I own the first 6 of 7 or 8. I own the first 5 of 6, 7? I don't remember. I don't remember where there are. I'm missing 2 of them.
There's 7 wrong turns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're rough. They're rough, Chris.
You can only take 3 wrong turns before you've made a whole circle.
Well, it's a bunch of different people making the same wrong turn into these, inbred mutants.
When is Google Maps gonna put this turd onto Google Map?
No, they don't. But this is I was talking about Wrong Turn 2, even though there are a lot of Horror Boy alums in it, so when we do, we will have to talk about them.
Tragic.
Lewis hits it so hard he breaks it.
Yeah.
She looks dramatically.
Has ever happened before.
Yeah. She looks dramatically at the bell flying through the air before setting her gaze on a giant devil statue in the front of the Devil's Flight coaster. The devil is voiced by National Treasure Tony Todd. And this is where I will now acknowledge that I believe I was wrong, saying that Bloodworth is the devil.
Yep, he is still just Bloodworth.
Yeah, he is just Bloodworth, who I would presume probably does work for the devil in some capacity, because he does have a lot of knowledge of death and all the evilness and stuff like that, But yeah, he was just a different character called the devil in this. My bad.
Oops.
But also, my personal headcanon is that Bloodworth, the character, does voice the devil in this. He got a little side gig to help pay for his... I don't know where I'm going with that joke.
Yeah, I was like, what do you...
I don't know, Chris. I didn't have a good ending for that joke, and I just kind of was like, I'll come up with one, and then I didn't.
Just started the joke.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that's the thing about comedy is you have to just go for it and hope you're ready at the end. Because if you wait to be ready, it's too late, and you miss the opportunity. This has been comedy lessons with a Austin.
Welcome to our comedy improv class.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work, and you just gotta acknowledge it and move on, which is what we're gonna do now.
Okay.
Wendy takes a picture of Jason in front of the coaster. Then Tony Todd / the coaster, I don't know. The recording says ominous things like, "You can run, but you can't hide," and "This is the beginning of the end." Jason notices Wendy's apprehension towards going on the ride. She's having a deja vu-like feeling, except for something that hasn't happened yet, which is how deja vu works, by the way. I know what she means. She means I get it's the weird her feeling uneasy about this, and they were trying to figure out how to word that. But technically, deja vu is you thinking you remember something that you don't, you've never actually experienced. So literally, deja vu is something that has never happened to you. So her wording there is a little weird because deja vu is always a feeling about something that has never happened for you yet. That is what deja vu literally is. But whatever. Why are we gonna overanalyze the dialogue? Oh, because that's what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah. I will say one little quick aside. I'm really happy that they brought back the super overdramatic looking at things. It wasn't quite nearly as in the last movies it should have been.
Yeah, that's fair. For what these movies are,
yeah.
I feel like you really just gotta punch the gas.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you more about my thoughts about this movie later. or probably in like the middle, but maybe at the end. I'll try to not. I'm sure I'll spoil my thoughts as we go. So yeah, after she says she's having deja vu, but not like deja vu, but like deja vu. Jason replies, "Are you weirded out by the ride? Because look, I know you. I think that maybe you're nervous about the roller coaster because they say the real fear with these rides comes from the feeling of having no control. Everyone imagines weird stuff when they get scared, but it never turns out to be what they imagined. Never." She replies, "Okay," and gives him a kiss. Aww. Isn't that sweet? Also, I will mention, I didn't bring it up earlier, but I do think I bring it up every other time it happens. Earlier when Carrie and Wendy, I almost forgot the main character's name, were having their conversation about, Carrie breaking up with Kevin. Wendy does mention being a control freak for the first time. And now this time is the second time, and it will come up again. That is, I guess, the central theme of this movie is that Wendy has issues with giving up control. We get another scene where Frankie is being a total creep to Ashley and Ashlyn. That's basically that scene. The one thing that does come out from this scene that I felt the need to bring up was that we find out that he graduated 2 years ago, making him even creepier. He's not just a creep hitting on, really being really creepy against like people like his age, but hypothetically speaking, these are maybe 17 years. They could be 18. They're all seniors. So there's a chance they could be 18. So technically he's but yeah, it's weird. If he's older than them, it's a little weird. A little weird to be even weirder than the creep he already was. Just saying, Frankie sucks. The devil says, "You may never return from Devil's Flight. Try not to scream." Wendy looks dramatically at a lot of things while queuing up for the ride. Do any of those specific things come back into play? No, of course not. We just look dramatically at things because that's what makes the money.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. Jason asks, "You alright?" "There's nothing to worry about." Aaron jumps in to say, "A roller coaster is just elemental physics, a conversion of potential energy to kinetic energy." Her boyfriend, Ian McKinley, says, "Yep, odds are like 1 in 250 million of dying on a roller coaster." Jason says, yeah, thanks for that, McKinley." McKinley says, "You're more likely to die driving to an amusement park than dying at one." Aaron is played by Alex. It's just Alex, but it's spelled like Alex's. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's just Alex. Alex Johnson, who, fun fact, initially auditioned for the role of Julie, while Amanda Crew, who played Julie, initially auditioned for the role of Aaron. Huh. They both auditioned for the other characters and ended up getting those ones. Yeah. I didn't say it was like the coolest fact ever, just that it was a fun little thing I found out in my research. McKinley is played by Chris Lemke of Ginger Snaps, alongside Horror Boy alums Catherine Isabel of Freddy vs. Jason, and special makeup effects artist Paul Jones of Wishmaster and Bride of Chucky. Frankie is a creep to Ashley and Ashlyn again, talking about a necklace he won on the Wacky Ladder.
Yeah, it's one of those chicks you see like on a mud flap typically.
Yeah.
And then he licks.
No, we just say he's being a creep, Chris. We are not going to.
And then he licks it, and it's gross.
Why are we? We didn't have to stoop to the level of actually explaining the awful crap he did.
No, they have to know exactly how awful it is, and it is awful, and it is really hard to watch.
Yeah, Wendy doesn't want to sit in the front because if she sees the tracks, she'll freak out. No one really wants to sit in the back with her, so Jason and Kevin flip a coin. Kevin loses and agrees to sit in the back with Wendy. Because that's what a good boyfriend does, is flips a coin to sit with his girl, rather than just like, I don't know, sitting with your girlfriend on a roller coaster because you're still on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Is being in the front that important to you, Jason?
Apparently.
Other than contrived reasons to get certain characters in the front and certain characters not in the front for some reason? I don't know. That's weird.
Well, the one girl's going to
Well, she's
Harvard
she's
or
about to go to
whatever.
college, so she won't have a chance to do this again for a while.
But I don't know if he knows how that works.
What are you talking about?
You never mind.
But see, Chris, this is a county fair, so it actually is only in town for certain times of year while she'll be gone.
Mm.
All right, moving on. But yeah, Jason sucks, but not as bad as Frankie.
Yeah, no one sucked as much as Frankie.
Jason tells Kevin, "Hey, just do me a favor. Keep an eye on her, okay? She's kind of freaked out." Kevin replies, "Oh, cool. Yeah, go on, buddy. No problem." Which, I don't know. He could have, if he's worried about her being freaked out, he could, be a good boyfriend and sit with her. But,
No.
we gotta separate Jason and Carrie from the rest of the characters we've met so far.
Yeah,
For reasons.
that won't be significant.
Yeah, just because, it's... Well, because, she's leaving and she wants to sit up there and Jason just loves the front of roller coaster so much. Honestly, more than he loves his girlfriend, Wendy.
Mm-hmm. You understand.
Wendy and Kevin queue up in row 6. That's a devil's number, Chris.
That is.
Wendy is freaked out by the roller coaster going past them. Frankie comes over and pushes them out of the way so he can sit in row 6 so he can be behind Ashley and Ashlyn because he, is a creep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now Wendy and Kevin queue up queue up behind, or head to the back. That's what I meant to say,
Yeah.
The only characters with names that we've seen who aren't in the back half of the coaster are Jason and Carrie. Frankie is a creep again, because of course he is. Jason calls out to Wendy, "I'll meet you at the end." That's a choice of words.
Mm.
When Lewis is secured in, we see that the hydraulics are leaking. Bum, bum, bum.
Mm.
Then my next note here is Frankie is a creep yet again. Couldn't tell you which thing he did this time because I didn't write down any of them. I just said Frankie's a creep. Frankie's a creep. Frankie's a creep. Because that's what he keeps trying to videotape the girls, wants them to be naked. He's a monster. He sucks and he's bad.
Yeah.
But the actor does seem like a really nice guy. And fun fact that I wasn't even going to bring up because I didn't know where to fit it in. But yeah, because I'm crapping on the character, I'll talk about how the guy isn't crappy. He almost didn't get cast because they thought he looked too old. But eventually his agent happened to be in the right place when someone asked hey, how old does he look? Do you think he looks too old to play high schooler? And his agent happened to be the person that this random exec asked. So his agent's no, he'd be great for it. And then also I believe due to the money he made on this movie, I don't remember the exact time frame. It was the first time he was able to get a permanent residence over his head in years because he was just living on the road doing comedy, barely making ends meet.
Damn.
So, good for him. He seems like a really nice guy, but man, does his character suck, and I will keep crapping on him when we see him.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure it's clear that I'm not crapping on the actor, because the actor isn't bad at doing even this character. He's doing this creep character really well. Just, I hate this character and don't know why it's in this movie.
Yeah. There is that.
Yeah. Wendy tries to take a picture of the coaster, but an attendant waved his arm in front of her camera to tell her that she can't have loose items. Kevin puts the camera in his pocket. Frankie, hearing this...
No camera. It does say it's very large on the sign, because apparently people are trying to constantly take cameras on this.
Honestly, that's something I wouldn't be that surprised people actually are trying to do. People are stupid.
I feel like no phones would be the big one.
In 2006? Not as much.
Oh.
I mean, people had, cameras on their phone, but they're, the tiny little flip ones at that point. You get, 2 pixels per picture.
I mean...
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I think now, yeah, you're right, it's the phone. But at this point, it probably was cameras more than phones, because phones were kind of just there.
Yeah. And I guess, you have to get pictures on the roller coaster for your yearbook.
Yeah. Yeah. She's in charge of the yearbook, maybe. I don't know. She's taking pictures, and we never actually know anything else about it.
Yeah. Well, that is true.
Where did I lose my place? Oh, yeah. So Frankie, hearing this, also hides his video camera in his coat.
Yeah.
Kevin gets his finger stuck in some gum. And then the coaster is off. It slowly climbs up the first hill. We see shots of everyone's excitement except for Wendy, who looks scared. We then see some shots of the roller coaster going, intercut with shots of the leaky hydraulics. Oh no.
I'm sure nothing wrong will happen.
Yeah, probably not. In a loop, Frankie is being a creep again. Because, yeah, of course he is. And Ashlyn has had enough of it and hits his camera out of his hand. The camera falls, and the strap wraps around the track.
Yep.
So when the coaster goes over it, it hits the leaky hydraulic tube and disconnects it. So now everyone is having to hold themselves in. Then the wheels start to fall off. The front car decouples, sending Jason and Carrie flying off to their deaths, along with like 4 or 5 other people who don't have names. Lewis then falls out of his seat and holds on, but during a corkscrew he loses his grip, but is caught by Kevin. A flying piece of debris hits Lewis and sends him flying into a pole, like breaking his back, killing him. The debris also breaks a piece of the track coming up. The coaster comes to a stop at the top of a loop. Aaron and McKinley both fall to their deaths. Kevin and Wendy are able to rock the coaster, sending it backward. While going backward, Kevin, who was standing, I believe I heard I think he might have had like his seat. I remember someone talking about it on like a video, or it was like on like a documentary of it. I don't remember which one. I think he's actually like the reason he's still standing is because like he's like stuck on like the seatbelt or something. I don't know. But yeah, so he's standing up as they're going backwards, and he gets cut in half by a pipe. When Wendy hits the piece of the broken track from earlier, the coaster goes hurtling towards the ground, but right before she hits, she comes to, because it's a Final Destination movie. That was Premonition, guys.
Yeah,
it's the third one. At this point, you should expect that. But yeah, I think real quick, before we go on to post Premonition, I'll say it's a fun Premonition. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's the best in the series or anything, but it's definitely decent. It's definitely, I don't have issues with it. It's fun. Yeah. It's got
It's cool because it's a little bit more. Well, I guess the second one's pretty darn elaborate in the way that everyone dies.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one probably has the worst of the opening kills, but at some point they didn't know what they were doing yet. Like, it was just like, hey,
they didn't know what it was going to become.
Yeah, but yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun opening way to kill a bunch of people, but not really. Ooh, they're not dead. Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess I'll bring up here some of the like cool ways they did a lot of things. Like behind the scenes stuff. They did a lot of stuff on like green screens, like in just like one spot, like so they could like move people around, like so like the actual cast, because there would be lots of close-ups on their face, had to like hang upside down for hours and stuff, like, and I hated it, but it's the job, you gotta do it.
Nice.
But yeah,
another fun fact is that this movie and opening scene gave my mom an irrational fear of roller coasters.
Oh.
Yeah, and she will not ride roller coasters anymore.
Huh. I don't know what's more shocking, that she has
my mom's seen this movie?
Yeah, I think that's it, though. It's your mom saw this movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
No, my mom used to watch horror movies with me, like, on a regular basis.
Oh. All right.
And then at some point she was like, I don't think I like this anymore.
Fair enough.
No, my mom, like, grew up listening to Black Sabbath.
Fair enough.
Which is
Also a little
Wild,
weird.
if you know my
Yeah,
mom.
no, it is. But I don't want to. I don't want to dwell on learning about your mom here. I'll move on with the
Heavy
podcast.
metal Katrina.
Yeah, that sounds so weird. There you go, Dad. That's an extra bit of information for you too. You're the only person who didn't care about this conversation.
Yep.
But yeah, so they did a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff. There's actually a lot of other like moments where they do a lot of stuff practically, and then like intercut it like with really cool like stuff. But then also something they do a lot later, especially, is that they add a lot of CGI blood over the really cool practical kills for no reason, ruining the cool practical kills.
What? You don't love CGI blood all over the place?
No, there's specifically one I will bring up when it happens and how much it makes me mad, because I watched like an hour and a half behind the scenes documentary that was on the Blu-ray, and like I saw the kill and it was really cool the way they were doing it, and it looks cool, but that's not what's in the final product. They like cover it with a giant spray of CGI blood. We'll get to that when we get to that. But the point is, they did a lot of the people involved tried really hard initially, at least, to do a really cool job of mixing CGI and like cutting things out with green screen and like making things happen. Because also like the roller coaster that they actually filmed on, like some of the scenes, so some of it's completely in like a studio, but some of it was real. But it's like maybe like a 30-foot high roller coaster, and they made it into a 198-foot high roller coaster with CGI and stuff. So yeah, it's fun. Credit to everyone involved. I think it works really well at this point. There's other points where I don't think it works as well, but here it works well. So yeah, out of the premonition we come.
Back to reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Oh, and she's so mad that she won't get blown up in a roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where I left off, because I wasn't planning on going on that whole like discussion.
Tangent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good discussion, but yeah. Yeah, she comes to, with the attendant telling her about the camera. She then sees the gum, and she starts freaking out and gets them to not start the coaster. They open the restraints on just the back of the coaster to let her off. Lewis gets off and is confrontational with Kevin over Wendy's stopping the coaster. They start to fight. One of their shots accidentally hits Aaron, getting McKinley involved.
Also, we also kind of find out in this confrontation that Lewis is a narcissistic misogynist.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just want to acknowledge, in the movie they switch back and forth with what they call him, but I'm going to be calling him McKinley throughout my notes just because that was the name that stuck out to me. But he's also Ian, but for the rest of my notes he will be McKinley. Unless it's like a quote where someone calls him Ian. So I guess just know, if there's a quote where someone says Ian, that's McKinley, who I've been talking about. Ashley and Ashlyn get off the coaster because this fight is so high school. Of course, the creep Frankie follows them. All those involved in the fight are also kicked out. Jason tries to get the attendant to let him out so he can go be with his girlfriend, because now he wants to be a good boyfriend. Maybe if he would have just sat with her from the beginning. But no! You had to send the slightly bigger actor to go sit back with her so he could continue in the I mean, you just really wanted to sit at the front. Yeah.
He was in Luck of the Irish Austin.
That's true. I mean, Ryan Merriman is the king of the decom. And already was at this point. All of those movies were before this. So
Yeah.
this is like one of the last things he did. I don't
True.
know if that's true. No, because I don't remember what we said. What all I said he was in, but there was something that was definitely after this. But now I want to know. Not that it matters, but I want to know. King of the Decom. The Ring 2, I think, is after this. Halloween Resurrection is before this, and then all the decoms are all before this. But I think The Ring 2 is slightly after this. Or it's a year before. It might be 2005. This might be the last thing he does of any note. But that doesn't matter. The point is, where were we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jason wants to be a good boyfriend now, but it's too late, because security won't let anyone else off. When Wendy sees that the coaster is going with Carrie and Jason still on it, she runs back yelling for them to stop, but they do not. Wendy and Kevin are escorted out by security right as the coaster crashes, killing Jason, Carrie, and a bunch of randos from the front. Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, I guess this is where I'll bring it up. This is that moment where I want to know if I want to save something completely for the end or bring it up when I feel like it makes sense to bring it up. This is one of those times. Yeah, there's a lot of like overacting in this movie that I absolutely love, and this is one of those scenes that really like emphasizes it. The way she's like yelling about it, like it's a little overboard, but I love it. I love how overboard it is. It kind of reminds me of the charm that the first one had, of that kind of like overacting, and but the same way though, a lot of these actors are decent actors in other things, so it makes me think that it's direction, because Devon Sawa is a good actor. Whatever her name is, Winstead, she's really good she's really good in things. Ryan Merriman, the king of decomps. So maybe this is the best you can get from him, but but yeah, like some of these people, like actors, are like they're good actors, but you can't tell in these movies, which makes me think it might be the direction. But I don't mind that because I kind of love it. I am
a big fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I kind of love the awkward acting though in these movies. It works for me a lot. This one in the second.
I mean, I feel like for Mary Elizabeth Winstead, her overacting, I don't know, because some of her acting is kind of understated in certain scenes.
Yeah, she does do a really good job of like getting emotional. She's like really good at that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like overall there's a lot of like slight overacting in this movie, and I like it. I'm bringing it up as a positive. It might not sound like one, but I promise it is. But yeah. We cut to a rainy day where Wendy is at the school to pick up her stuff from her locker and her diploma. She stops to look at the memorial for her lost classmates. The candle gets blown out by... Could it be... Death's wind?
Ah!
Maybe. I don't know. No one dies here, so maybe not. It's not. It might have just been wind.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it's supposed to be Death's wind. Not sure. But also, there's definitely other times where Death's wind is also just the wind. Straight up, it's like, that's just probably the wind. But alright, movie. But yeah. So, Death's wind blows. Finding my spot from the Death's wind blow part.
Yeah.
Boom. Could it be Death's wind? She heads to the trash can and throws out all her books. Kevin sees her from down the hall and tries to get her attention, but she runs away. He runs after her. He catches up with her and says, "Hey, wait, I need to talk to you about something." She says, "Just here to pick up my diploma." He says, "You're not going to graduation?" She replies, "No." He continues, "Look, you're not the only one in a messed up place now. Okay? He doesn't say messed up, but, PG podcast. I just thought it'd be good for you to be where other people feel the same." Wendy interrupts. "In graduation? No thanks. I've had enough funerals." Kevin says, "Then do it for Jay and Carrie." Wendy asks, "Do what?" "If you die and there's nothing, then they're just dead and they don't know. If they are in heaven with Lincoln and Gandhi, do they really care about our high school graduation? No. I'm alive and I don't care. As soon as I pull out of that parking lot, I am so out of McKinley. Without Jason, what's here for me?" Kevin says, "I'm here, okay? I made a promise to Jay that I would take care of you." Wendy replies, "On the ride for 3 minutes. You weren't making the promise for a lifetime." "Kevin, if it wasn't for you and Jay being friends, and me and Carrie being friends, we wouldn't have even hung out. We don't even like each other." And she walks away. And now I'm going to pause again to talk about how this dialogue is atrocious, but I love it. I love how bad it is. This is, once again, same as the last movie, or not the first movie. The dialogue is so bad that they're given sometimes, but it is so charming how bad it is. And it might not be for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people might watch this movie and go, oh, this is just a bad movie. And I can see that. I do. But I love this. It's so much fun. I love how awkward some of this is. There it is, guys. We got to the point. What were we? About 20 minutes into the podcast. We got to the point, guys. I did it. I spoiled it. I like the movie. Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh. Guys, he did it. Sorry about it.
Well, I guess we're done. See you next week.
All right. Yeah, wrap. That's a wrap.
But yeah, I'll bring it up again at the end because that's what we do at the end to like summarize. But I love whatever directing / writing that makes this movie and the first movie so stupid fun. Like, it is so special. Like, I like the second one, but this one is so much better because it just reminds me of that charm of the first one, that like awkward charm that shouldn't work on paper. Oh yeah, the acting's kind of bad and the dialogue's terrible, and you're like, why do you like this? And that's fair. I get it, guys. But also, have you seen the prequel Star Wars films? It's the same kind of idea, guys. Sometimes it's fun how bad something is. But yeah, that scene. Oh, I love it. So she walks away. Aaron and McKinley, Julie and her friends, and Ashley and Ashlyn all take notice of Wendy being at school. We also at this point find out, I guess it's on a sign earlier, but this is the first time we like directly say that like we have Ian talking to Aaron saying like, how lame is it that my name's the same as my school? Maybe that'll be important later.
Probably not, though.
Yeah, probably not, though. Why would I say could be important if it's not? Weird of me. Yeah, sorry, guys.
Silly.
Ashley and Ashlyn go over to her and invite her to go to the tanning salon with them. Ashley gives Wendy her phone number. And then it's really funny because as they walk away, they like go like, oh, we did such a good thing. I think it was, the Hatchet movies we talked about before. But yeah, I really do love like the stupid, dumb, popular girl trope. I find it funny when it happens. So yeah, I like these characters. Only, Frankie wasn't being a total creep on them the whole time. Ashley, my eye. Okay, sorry. But yeah. Wendy heads to the car, but Kevin runs up, telling her, "You're not alone." She replies, "I appreciate everyone's trying to help, okay? I really do." Kevin continues, "No, it's happened before, okay? I went online, looking for an explanation about what happened. I found out about this high school French class from New York. 6 years ago, they went on a trip to Paris. When they were boarding, a kid had a vision that the plane was going to explode. Just like you did. He freaked out and 7 people got off the plane, just like us. On takeoff, Flight 180 blew up. Over the next several months, everyone who got off the plane started dying in weird accidents. They died in the order they would have if they had stayed on the plane, unless someone intervened. Then it skipped them. And came back to them. They don't realize that, but we know that as the audience.
Yeah.
The only way to make it not skip you guys is if you die.
Intervene on somebody else's behalf.
No, they can still happen again.
Oh, not to skip. Yeah.
You gotta die, but come right back thanks to drowning, guys. Duh.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Wendy responds, "Obscenity you, Kevin," and she drives off. We head to Ashley and Ashlyn arriving at the tanning salon. The tanning salon is run by Yuri, played by Alexander Kalugan of Super Babies Baby Genius 2, alongside Horror Bois alum and Final Destination alum Sean Sipos of Texas Chainsaw 3D and Final Destination 2, and was directed somehow by the late Bob Clark of Black Christmas, one of my favorite horror movies. The director went on to make Super Babies Baby Genius 2, and it baffles me how someone could have movies at such different ends of the spectrum of quality.
Yeah.
As well as like Christmas Vacation. Like, the man's made a lot of good movies, but he's also made a lot of crap.
It's true.
While they wait for Yuri to come inside, the girls discuss how long they should tan. That's the scene. We cut to Wendy in her room. I will say, it's a funny little like back and forth with them. Like, but I didn't write down the dialogue because it wasn't like important. We cut to Wendy in her room. Julie comes in angry because Wendy has her good luck bracelet from their grandma. She does specifically in this line say her good luck guy bracelet, and I just want to know, I don't know what that means. I feel like she misspoke in the take, and they just went, we'll go with it.
Yeah.
But she literally said, I went back and watched like that specific line like 3 or 4 times. She says, because it was on the closed captions, like, that can't be right. It was. She says, good luck guy bracelet.
Yeah, she sure does.
Wendy says, Julie, I could use some help. I have such guilt over Jason. I should have never let that ride go. I'm usually such a control freak, but I didn't do enough to stop it. I should have done everything I could to stop it, and I would give anything to have a second chance. But I never can. I don't want to someday feel that way about you, Julie. I mean, I can't talk to Mom and Dad. You're all I have left. And I'm pausing in the middle of her quote just to say the reason she can't talk to Mom and Dad is because they didn't cast a Mom and Dad. There is no Mom and Dad in this movie.
True. We do not get a Mom and Dad.
We see like one parent. It's not hers. But yeah, back to her line. Sorry. Yeah. I just thought I wanted to bring that up because I remember seeing when she said that, like, I can't talk to Mom and Dad, and my brain was like, yeah, because you don't have one, obviously. Where are they? So yeah, you're all I have left. Do you think when I find a place, maybe you could come stay with me for a while? Julie says, you know I will. You keep this now, and I'll get it when I come to see you. Oh, and hey, how about on your end? Can I use the school camera for graduation tonight? Before we get to Wendy's reply, we'll just say that's kind of a fair thing. You know, you let her have your property, now you're asking like, hey, cause I let you borrow my bracelet, can you give me school property without permission? Not quite the same thing.
No, they're on the same level, I think. Actually.
Okay. Well, Wendy replies, yeah, as long as you bring it back to school on Monday. Which is also kind of weird, pausing here. Wendy talked about how she got her diploma and she wasn't ever coming back to school. So when was this camera getting to school? In her time before this change happened where Julie asked to borrow it?
Oh, you know, the time.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And then she also adds, actually the battery's pretty low. So why don't you go get ready and I'll recharge it a bit. Julie leaves to get ready. Wendy plugs in the camera and sees the photo she took of Jason with the roller coaster behind him.
Interesting. I don't think that's relevant.
No, probably not. But I wrote it down anyway. We head back to the tanning salon. Yuri comes inside, but goes back outside because his phone rings again. So the girls say that they'll set up the tanning beds themselves. On his way out, Yuri says, hey, no drinks in the room this time, okay? Ashley puts one drink in the trash and makes it look like she's going to put the other in. And he leaves, but she ends up keeping it. Ashlyn locks the front door and puts a sign up so no one comes in and sees them naked.
Yeah.
But they don't know is that Frankie's in the walls. No, he's not. I wouldn't put it past him.
He's a rat and he's in the wall.
Yeah, he's got cameras placed everywhere that they ever go so he can see them naked because he's a creep.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably would do that. He probably has a deal with Yuri where he like buys the like security cam footage, but they don't directly say that in the movie. I think it might be a deleted scene.
Yeah, probably.
Yuri props open the back door with a bottle of tanning lotion.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. I'm sure there's nothing important about that. Just wanted to bring it up, though. Back to Wendy, who is still looking at the picture as Death's wind starts to blow inside her room. Back to the tanning salon. Get used to that. We're gonna do that like 6 more times in these scenes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's an excessive amount of.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's one of those things where, like,
Between.
in notes, it's annoying as crap. When you're watching it, you don't really care. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's fine. But it's weird. Here. Yuri Botanic Solution. Back to Winnie, who's still looking at the pictures. Oh, I already read that. Back to the tanning salon. Ashley gets the tanning beds ready. We also see that the back door is still closing a little bit, pushing the lotion out of the bottle.
Oh my gosh.
Back to Wendy. No, you don't have time to think about that. We're going back to Wendy.
Oh, okay.
Back to Wendy, who plugs the camera into her computer. When she looks at the photo of Jason on her computer, she notices the roller coaster right behind his head. You know that thing we noticed and we thought was what we were supposed to notice last time? No, we don't actually. She's not supposed to notice it until she makes it really big on her computer.
Oh, okay.
So now you know that.
Thank you.
Back to the tanning salon. Where Ashley sets her drink down on a machine that warns it should never be set above 250 VAC. All right. Ashley,
I'm sure it won't. Ever.
Yeah, no, of course not. But just there's a shot of it, so I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
Just so weird that they have that shot that means nothing.
It is.
Ashley complains that it's too cold, so she turns up the thermostat a little bit. Back to Wendy, whose electricity flickers. And then right back to the tanning salon.
Yeah.
It's literally like a second. Ashlyn realizes she forgot her iPod. So Ashley looks at the CDs on the shelf, and we see that the sport brackets are loose. The girls stripped down for this movie's gratuitous nudity. Then I will pause to bring up that when I was watching it, when I was watching the documentary about like the making of, they specifically talked about. Actually, I don't feel like it is gratuitous, because it makes sense in the plot why it happens. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, it just made sense in the plot. That's why they wrote you naked in this movie.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're in a tanning salon.
Yeah, they start.
It's for the plot.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yes, it does make sense in the plot that they would probably go topless to tan. Fair. But they specifically show it because they want you to see it in the movie.
They specifically wrote in a tanning salon.
Yeah. As an excuse to get pretty young girls naked. Because Hollywood! Yeah! No issues whatsoever!
Well, actually, funny you mentioned that.
What are you talking about? No, this one's
out.
No, actually, it's okay. This one's made by Bob. This is a Bob Shea production, not a Weinstein production. So we have to bring up that today.
Yeah, thank goodness.
No one's ever said that about Bob Shea.
That we know of.
I've never heard anyone bring it up. See, the thing is, he probably couldn't get away with it as easily because he hired his sister on all those movies. So she's gonna rat him out if he tries to do anything with any of the cast.
Well, Ashley should.
Yeah. But yeah, so the girls strip down. They start to tan. Outside, we see the door has pushed out enough of the tanning lotion to close.
Such a strong door.
Yeah. The girls listen to Love Roller Coaster by the Ohio Players as they tan, with even more blatantly gratuitous shots of them naked.
Yeah.
Because, for the plot. Maybe you could say, the first shot of them, getting in is oh, that's plot-driven. But then the shots of them singing and dancing topless, yeah, that... No, that feels a little more gratuitous.
It's such what's because they were singing Love Roller Coaster in the initial death scene was a roller coaster.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it.
it's the plot. It's plot-driven.
Ashley's drink has condensation on it that drips down, hitting the machine, causing the VAC number to rise.
What?
Back to Wendy, who is looking at more of the pictures. And when she sees Ashley and Ashlyn holding the palm tree... Wait, what? Oh yeah, she sees that picture. I was
Yeah.
like, I wrote it in a way where I thought there was gonna be like a thing where it's like
a lot of exposure on
Yeah.
their face.
yeah, which makes it kind of look like maybe they're on fire. Which I honestly did not get at all from this picture until I watched a video where someone said that that's what she was supposed to get from the picture. I was like, oh, I thought it was the palm tree because there's a palm tree that's involved later. But no,
Yeah.
apparently it's also supposed to be the fire.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the palm tree and the high exposure.
Yeah.
It's
I
them
just saw
getting-
the palm tree. I'll be
getting
honest.
tanned to death.
Yeah, I did not catch the high exposure part of it, but it's there, guys.
It is. No,
Yeah.
that's what I noticed. I was like, how's a palm tree gonna kill him?
Well, then it kind of does. We'll get to in a moment. Julie comes by to get the camera, but Wendy lies and says the battery is completely dead and sends her away. So how will the camera ever get back to the school? I really need to know that.
Oh, God.
I guess she could still give it to her on Monday.
True.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, go. Calm down. It's okay, guys. The guys, don't worry. The camera will get back. Hopefully.
Yippee.
I'm really worried about the camera.
As you should.
She tries to call Ashley, but she doesn't pick up. The VAC number has risen all the way to 305, and the temperature has also risen like 4 degrees on the thermostat.
Yeah.
The girls are starting to get uncomfortable. Death's wind blows through, knocking a coat rack
Blood.
into a palm tree that falls onto the shelf, which lodges itself perfectly between the tanning beds, trapping the girls.
Locking them in.
Yes.
Ah!
But yeah, see, the palm tree does help kill them, so it could have been the palm tree.
Help.
I mean, it helps, as well as also, like, as we see much later, the logo for this tanning company has a palm tree in it.
Oh, that's true.
So, it kind of could have just been the palm tree, but yeah, I do also think that it might be the overexposure.
Yeah.
The VAC continues to rise. The glass of the tanning bed shatters in Ashley's face. Yuri hears the girls screaming, but can't get in the back door or the front door.
Ah.
The girls are being burnt to death. Their skin is starting to bubble in a fun makeup effect. And then both tanning beds burst into flames, killing the girls.
Death by overtly tanning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I guess, yeah, it's a fun fact. As they, the way they actually did it, the stunt crew came up with like a new mixture of like fire retardant stuff, where they could have like on open skin, like just on top of skin with like a accelerant and this stuff, like this protector, you could like have on just like skin for 25 seconds without like any issues. It's like that they were actually able to like put it on like the stunt girls and like stunt women, sorry, and film these practical fire scenes. Pretty cool.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I will say there's a really cool like editing moment here where we go from the 2 tanning beds on fire immediately to their 2 graves in like the exact same shot, like it's in the exact same spot. Like it transitions from the tanning beds into being their graves. It's a cool look. I like it. It's a cool little moment. The minister says, "We may feel that our lives are not our own, that death controls, frames our lives, our births nothing but death begun. Yet whenever it is with this tragic loss of young lives, which we have suffered much of late, or with the soft passing of the elderly in the night, we are all equal in death's eyes." McKinley interrupts. "Equal in death's eyes. All of us. How can you say that? Dude, think it through. Charlie Manson made it to 70. Osama still kicking." This is from 2006, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Before he wasn't kicking.
Aaron says, "Let's go." McKinley continues. "Pimps, vice presidents walking around, all the atrocities they've committed, they're alive and well. These 2 girls who've never done poop to anybody, They don't get to make it to 18. So we do confirm they're not 18. He's been graduated for 2 years. He is literally a criminal, Frankie. Sorry, just had to bring that up. Yeah, he closes with, where's the equality in that? Which, honestly, yeah, fair point,
Yeah,
except for fair point,
valid.
except for the specifically calling out a vice president's weirdly. I don't know what the writers had against specifically a specific vice president or something, because it just feels kind of weird
Yeah,
to
who
be
was the vice president in 2006?
It'll be whoever Bush's vice president was. I don't remember Bush's vice president.
Is that Dick Cheney?
It might be. It doesn't matter. But the point is, it's also he lists off horrible people. You got Osama, Charlie Manson. Okay, cool. And then pimps and vice presidents. It's
and vice presidents. It was Dick Cheney.
But it's also what? Those are when you think of the two most corrupt, evil type of people in the world, right? You think of pimps and vice presidents, right?
Dick Cheney shot somebody.
I mean, sure, but it still feels a little weird that they targeted not politicians. Sure, there's been a lot of politicians who've done a lot of bad things throughout politics, but specifically, he's vice presidents and pimps. I hate pimps. Okay, I mean that's fair. Maybe pimps do typically, do some bad things. Fair enough, but I don't know. What about all the other types of horrible atrocities that people commit? All those kind of, things. Whatever, whatever. We'll just target pimps and vice presidents and put them on the same line as Charlie Manson and Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
You understand.
a little bit of a jump.
But those vice presidents, man, they suck. But yeah, we'll move on. Lewis and Kevin take McKinley away from the funeral. Frankie is standing next to Julie and says, I will say this is the one scene where I actually kind of like Frankie. It's actually a funny scene that's about to come up. He says, I so feel like this is my fault. And Julie says, how could it possibly be your fault? Frankie explains, seeing women is nothing but fun bags. I mean, if I had seen their humanity, they wouldn't have felt the pressure to look so good. Impress Franklin cheeks. Go on diets, deodorize, stretch, tan, Julie retorts. Don't be down, Frankie. Be proud of your ability to make everything that happens somehow a story about you. And then Frankie goes to lean in for a kiss, but Julie pushes his face away and walks away. This is this one scene almost redeems the character of Frankie. It doesn't, because he's still so terrible in all the other scenes he's in. But this one scene makes him funny. It's oh, he's an idiot, but in a way where it's funny, not just him being completely a creep. But no, it's just this one scene.
Yeah.
And also, technically, even though it's played for laughs, and I do find it funny, if you actually take a second to think about it, once again, we've established that Frankie is at least 19, probably 20, and Julie isn't a senior.
Yeah. So she is definitely a minor.
She is definitely a minor, and he is probably 20. We could guess probably 16 to 17 for her. It's a little creepy, man. A little creepy. And by a little creepy, I mean you're kind of the worst, but this one scene was really funny, and I'll give the writers credit for remembering to make this character, who I think is probably supposed to be the comic relief throughout the movie, actually funny for a scene.
Yeah.
After Kevin and Lewis escort McKinley and Aaron to his van, Lewis says, "Yo, man, these things really suck, man." I will also say that I am directly quoting this character, and it feels wrong, because he is written in a way where he, Chris understands. I can see it in his eyes right now. If you're an audio listener, so I guess I'll establish that, if you haven't seen these movies and you just listen to our podcast, Texas Battle is an African American man, and his character is written kind of as such, with some of his line delivery and stuff. I'm gonna try my best to not, do any sort of racist accent or anything like that. But man, is it? Some of these lines are okay, yeah, he's saying man 12 times. It's borderline Ebonics. But I'm quoting it, so it's this is hard. I feel awkward. Boring. Hey, If you ever come to my funeral, man, bring me a PSP or something. At least I have something to do then. And then walks off. Kevin then gets a call, and it's from Ghostface! Right?
Woo!
Wait, no. No, it's just Wendy. Why isn't it? It's never Ghostface anymore.
Or when. That's what your friends call her.
No, I call her Wendy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wendy, who is on the phone, says, "I'm with Jay." And he looks over and sees her at Jason's grave and walks over to her.
Yeah.
Kevin says, "What are you doing up here in the nosebleeds? You know I could have gotten you second row." Wendy replies, "I don't want to upset anyone by being there. And I wondered if maybe here I could feel Jay's spirit or presence or whatever. But now that I'm here, if there's any place that makes me feel like there's no life after death, it's a cemetery." Kevin says, "Yeah, I haven't felt Carrie's spirit either. And I've tried. Real hard." I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But Wendy says, "I thought maybe he's been with me since that night before I got on the road. On the ride. It's supposed to say ride, but it didn't. Okay. Before I got on the ride, Jason said, and I know it was just to get me on the ride. He said, 'Your fear is from a sense of having no control.' And I felt that fear since that moment he said it, even though it maybe somehow, even thought it maybe somehow caused the hallucination. But this fear is more than just being scared. It's like a presence, like a living thing always with me." Kevin asks, "You think it's Jay?" And Wendy replies, "No, I know it's not." And I'm going to pause there real quick to say, then, well, didn't she just say that she thought that he was with her?
Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure I understand that.
Yeah.
"This presence is the opposite of how Jay made me feel. Even though it's the opposite, I did feel that it might have been him for a while. But now I know it's not."
But no, I knew it wasn't him, actually.
Yeah, okay. "It's cold and terrifying. Not like here with you." Oh, wait, so that's episode 2. Dang it. Sorry. We're not watching Star Wars? Is it Star Wars?
No.
Because the dialogue's kind of on par with the prequel trilogy.
That's, yeah, not wrong.
Which I also love the dialogue of the prequel trilogy for the same reason.
Yeah. It's not good, but boy, is it entertaining.
The wind starts blowing around them really heavily. Could it be Death's wind? I mean, I think that's the implication, but it also could just be wind. They are outside.
Yeah.
It's typically Death's wind's inside, so you know it's Death's wind. But
Wind.
I think the implication this is the Death winds. At least they do both look very dramatically all around them. So Wendy then pulls out photos to show Kevin. First is the last ever picture taken of Abraham Lincoln. That has a line on his head where he got shot. Where he got shot due to it's like where he would have got shot due to like
right
a cracked lens.
through his hairline.
Yeah, that's how he died.
It's mostly through his hair.
Yeah. She also shows another picture before a tragedy that I feel like YouTube might get mad if I even mention it. So we'll move on. Go watch the movie and you can find out what it was.
Yeah, there's like a plane involved.
That's too much.
And it's not Flight 180.
I don't think I would have even gone that far, Chris. I don't want to get flagged. Also, she doesn't even really explain it. It's just there. It's just like, in this picture. It's like, okay. All right, movie. I understand it's 2006 and we're a lot more cynical than we were for the original movie.
Yeah. And look at this picture. Oh, wah wah wee wah. That's all we're gonna say is look at that picture.
Okay. Kevin asks, "Well, what do these pictures have to do with us?" Which is what I'm thinking at this point. I'm like, why are we showing that picture of all pictures?
Well, it's for the same reason that we had to mention Osama bin Laden previously.
Yeah. Because this movie was written post a certain date.
2001.
Yeah, a certain date in 2001. I don't remember what it was, though. But we'll move on. I forgot the date, guys. I thought I'd never forget. but I forgot it, so I guess we'll move on.
You forgot. I can't believe.
I'm gonna move on.
We weren't getting flagged before. We are now.
We never said it. I think we're okay. She then shows him a picture of the pileup from the last movie that took place 1 year after the crash of Flight 180, right next to Exit 180. Which I will say, what? How does that have anything to do with the idea of these pictures that happened before? I mean, this is after the crash. The second crash. This was not warning anything. This picture's inclusion is pointless.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it when I watched the movie. I'm realizing it right now as I'm reading it. What? Why? Why is this picture here?
One of these things is not like the other.
And somehow it's not that one date I forgot. Somehow that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Kevin says in response, look, I guess you came to me with this because I'm responsible for putting this in your head with the Flight 180 thing. And it did happen. And it may be occurring here. But you can't believe every weird thing out there because you're desperate for an answer. Please stop going on Reddit. Does Reddit exist yet?
No, not yet. Not for a while.
Does the, the other one, the really questionable one, exist yet?
4chan?
I wasn't going to say it.
Oh. I just wasn't sure if
that's what
that or Tumblr or...
Yeah. Why would I not want to talk about Tumblr? Think about pause. We're gonna pause the whole discussion for a moment. What about Tumblr made you think that was the thing? I was like, I can't say the word Tumblr. That could get us. Here's the thing: we're probably not gonna get in trouble for saying 4chan, but there's a lot of crap that happens on 4chan. Tumblr, yes, has some issues, I'm sure, but it's not like as notorious for doing bad things.
I mean, it's not as notorious.
But
they did have to ban NSFW content from that
But
website.
I would also say that wasn't actually a problem. They just decided to get rid of it. It was a bunch of, art. It's not for me, but, I don't have an issue with its existence in the world. But this is not it's not our podcast about Tumblr. So we'll get back to the movie.
This is the variety podcast.
Welcome to our podcast where we film it really late on a day we're not supposed to film.
Yeah.
Because, jeez, I don't know how... This has been going way too long, and we're not...
Yeah.
We're not far into this movie.
God.
Let's keep going. All right.
Yeah.
She says, I took these that night. She shows him a picture of Jason and the picture of Ashley and Ashlyn. He asks, are these it? She then shows him she had a lot more pictures before dropping them.
Yeah.
She falls. She falls and he goes down to pick them up, and she says, I'm feeling a little woozy. Forgetting the here to properly quote National Treasure Matthew Lillard's line from Scream.
Yeah.
If you're gonna quote it right, guys.
Yeah. Do the whole thing.
I'm feeling a little woozy here. She says I'm feeling a little woozy, but she forgets the here, and I'm disappointed in her.
Yeah. They were so close, and it definitely felt pretty intentional.
I think it might have been, but maybe that's just because we love that line. It
Yeah.
could also
I also feel like that's not a line generally used. I'm feeling a little woozy.
But I feel like it also does completely just fit for her character at this point.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I want to believe it's a shout out to our boy Matthew Lillard, our boy who doesn't know he exists. But I have a feeling it probably wasn't. Kevin asks, "When was the last time you ate?" She says, "I don't remember." And Kevin says, "All right, come on, I'll drive." In his truck, on the way to a fast food restaurant, Kevin says, "Okay, those kids on Flight 180 died in accidents in the order they would have died if they had stayed on the plane. Okay? So, if this is that, then Then Frankie was behind Ashlyn and Ashley. Wendy says, when I saw Ashley and Ashlyn's picture, I felt this instinct. Like there was a hint in the picture. I even called to see if I could keep them from going. Kevin says, well, what's Frankie's picture look like? She goes to show him the picture, and he almost crashes into this tow truck. She tells him to go through the drive-thru because she doesn't want anyone to hear them talk. And Kevin replies, well, it's nice to see things haven't made you less of a control freak. Get it? She's a control freak, guys.
Yeah.
She shows him Frankie's...
That might be like a theme.
Apparently, but not really. It's just a line they say a bunch.
Yeah.
She shows him Frankie's picture. Kevin says, this is obvious. He's falling off a ladder. Wendy says, a rope ladder, though. Maybe he might hang. Or maybe it's not that literal. Could there be anything in these prizes? And Kevin says, what? Like he's going to be crushed by a giant SpongeBob? Hey, SpongeBob lives underwater. She replies, it's so sad that you know that. Which, I don't think it is. I feel like that's kind of a pretty popular show at the time. And, like, he's not that old. So, like, the show started in, like, 99, 98, I think, one of the two. And which means, the show was on the air for about 7 years, which means it started when he was probably about 11 or 12. Completely unacceptable time to have known who SpongeBob was. Just saying. Really? But, you know, can't believe you even know that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Alright. He won that tacky mudflap girl on this game, though. So aren't those usually on those big 18-wheelers? I don't see it in this picture anyway. Even though it is clearly a giant logo on the prize wall.
Yeah.
I don't see it in this picture. Giant logo! Taking up most of the picture! What? Who wrote that line? Did they not have the picture yet when they wrote the line, but there were two... we can't change it. It's already in the script, guys. Mary already memorized it. I can't change it on her. She's got it to memory. After a couple drives up behind them and honks at them, they drive up to the drive-thru speaker. Wendy doesn't end up ordering because the display is glitchy and the word control disappears. She's losing control! And she's a control freak! Then the same brand of beer truck from the last movie starts to almost back into them. The radio starts to freak out and switches to a different station and plays Turn Around and Look at Me by the Vogues. A moving truck is barreling down the hill towards them, but they can't go out either of the doors because of the wall in the beer truck. The guy in front of them won't pull up and just flips them off. The couple behind them doesn't hear them when they yell for them to back up, but does see the truck in time to drive away. Kevin kicks out the windshield, and they jump out of the way just in time. And everyone's cool and fine.
Yep.
Just kidding. The engine of Kevin's truck gets pushed out by the crash, sending it into the convertible driver in front of them. Its fan ends up grinding up his head right after it's revealed that it was Frankie in front of them.
Bum, bum, bum.
A cop asks them later if they need a ride home, but Kevin replies, no thanks, we'll be okay. After the cop walks away, Wendy says, will we? Kevin says, yeah, we'll be alright. Wendy continues, I mean, how Frank... It's not only horrible, but can you feel how vicious it was? Kevin says, easy, okay? Easy. Let's just take a step back, alright? He was behind Ashley and Ashlyn on the ride, but there was no ladder here, you know? There was no rope. Nothing in that picture pointed to this. We were wrong about the photos. Wendy gets up in a huff and says, I should have left town. It's better not knowing. Kevin says, no, never. It's never better staying ignorant. Willful ignorance is surrendering control. And you love control because you're a control freak. He doesn't say
because
that.
we said you are.
Wendy
a billion times.
Wendy asks, What, did you read that somewhere in Miss Brooks' English class? Kevin says, No, I'm not. I'm not the total idiot you think I am. We cut to Wendy and Kevin looking at the photos of the roller coaster cars to see who's next. They're at her room now. They find out that the order is Lewis next, then Aaron and McKinley, then a group of kids they can't recognize because of the man's arm in the way.
Right.
They decide to go ask Lewis, Ian, and Aaron if they remember who was there. They go through more of the pictures and land on a picture of Carrie, making Kevin sad. Aw, poor Kevin.
No.
Wendy says, I guess that kind of thing is going to happen to us the rest of our lives. Looking at photos of our high school crushes. Oh, wait, she doesn't have that part at the end. I feel like that is something that won't happen for the rest of your life. You'll move on. You won't look at pictures of them. You may never forget them, but, whatever. Kevin says, yeah, I was going to ask her to marry me right after graduation. You said that wasn't going to happen, Chris!
Oh, God.
Well, now they say sad. Because he loved her, but she hated him. Yeah, and there's no resolution to this. It's just a throwaway line from earlier, and then another line here to make me feel a little sad. That's it. Moving on. There's no resolution. What else do they talk about? The end. The end of that plot line.
Yeah.
That was put earlier to set up this line here. Why? Because they thought about this line here. Wendy continues to flip through the pictures and stops on the upskirt picture Kevin took. Because Frankie is in the background with a fan right behind his head.
Yeah.
They go back to Lewis's picture and see the possibilities are the hammer, the weight that looks like it's falling on his head, and a sultan holding scimitars. And because Lewis is at the training camp of the state college whose mascot is the Sultans. What are the coincidences? It's almost like this was contrived by a writer.
Yeah, it's almost exactly like that.
Wendy wants to go tell Lewis and ask Kevin, wouldn't you want to know? And Kevin asks, what? There's a picture of us in there? Wendy replies, yeah, of course. Kevin says, no, I don't want to see mine. No. Wendy says, what about willful ignorance? Kevin says, well, I'm full of poop, all right. I mean, I never thought I could see my own death before it happened. Wendy? No. You know what? We can tell Lewis, but seriously, if there's any way to beat this thing, I gotta stay focused. If I look at this picture, all I'm gonna do is obsess. So you know what? No, I don't want to see it. I mean, unless we have to. Wendy says, you mean until we have to. Kevin starts to leave and says, one more thing. Is it bad? I mean, is it like painful or embarrassing? There's nothing up my butt or anything. Wendy says, I'll see you tomorrow, and closes the door on him. Yeah. Her bedroom door, by the way. She closes her bedroom door like, I'll see you tomorrow. You go down the stairs and let yourself out.
Yeah.
She doesn't walk up to the front door. She closes her bedroom door like, I'll see you tomorrow. Is he staying the night?
Make sure Julie locks the door when you leave.
Yeah. Set the alarm. The code is. I'll set the alarm later. Don't worry. I'm not actually going to bed. I just wanted to be dramatic. I'm kind of hungry. I'm gonna have a snack. The next day, at the gym, Lewis is not buying their theories. While Lewis and Kevin argue, Wendy looks around and sees 2 scimitars hanging on the wall, like in the picture, as well as a taxidermized bear. Like how one of the prizes was a stuffed bear! What is this energy? Lewis tells Kevin, you're reading into this poop like urban legends. Kevin retorts, 3 people have died. Lewis, if you think this can be written off as simple coincidences, it ends there. You're in serious denial. Lewis says, while bench pressing, what about you two, huh? You both lost people real close to you in a messed up way. And in order to feel less guilty, or whatever, seeing signs and patterns, man, I don't blame you, but it's wrong, dog. It's wrong. That's denial.
That's wrong, dog.
That's wrong, dog. A man on a weight machine underneath the scimitars makes them shake with how much he exerts himself on the machine.
Yeah, which means you're doing it wrong, brother.
Yeah.
You should be doing it slow and controlled.
They need a lunk alarm here. Kevin says, okay, what about what happened on the roller coaster, huh? Wendy saw it. Lewis says, she got a hunch. Bleeping intense, but she got a hunch. I'm here because I got good hunches before every down. Kevin says, no, you know they're either going to run or pass. Hers came to her from nowhere. You're here and alive because of her. Lewis says, no, I'm alive because of me. Kevin and Lewis argue indistinguishably while Wendy sees water on the floor right under a radio that almost falls, but it's caught.
Yeah.
She sees the scimitar shake again, right as Lewis starts working out on the machine under them. Lewis says, talk about a vision. Man, I see my whole life played out, and it sure as hell ain't going to end now. It's going just as I saw it. 35 high school games without an injury. USA Today All-American. Kevin says, second team. Lewis continues, my free ride to the Sultans. Kevin adds, Bruins passed on you. Lewis says, man, obscenity the Bruins. 4 years from now, Luis Romero going in the second round to Oakland. He's going to romp and stomp 15 seasons with 4 Super Bowl rings on his fingers. Lewis ain't afraid of no death. Obscenity death. Death is bleeping Denver fan. Death wears blue and orange. Real men wear black. Lewis ain't afraid of no death. Death is afraid of me. Lewis continues to ramble and get more and more angry, and it starts firing up all of his teammates. One of them accidentally knocks the claw off the bear, which flings into another guy, his eye, who drops a barbell, which is close enough to shake the scimitars loose as they fall down, cutting the cables holding the machine together, barely missing Lewis. Oh, okay, he's fine. Lewis excitedly says, woo! What did I tell you? Kevin, huh? Obscenity death. I just win. That's all I know how to do, Kevin. He pulls down the weights on the machine one more time, but without the cables, it ends up crushing his head. In a kill that was filmed really awesomely, but in the movie is covered by a giant CGI blood.
Dang.
Yeah. It's still a cool, slightly shocking kill, and it's fine, and we get some practical blood splattered on, Wendy and Kevin, but they had a whole mold of his head that broke and had cool real looking, not real blood, but cool practical blood pour out of it. Yeah. But no, we'll just put a giant CG blood completely over the prosthetic effect.
Yeah.
Outside Wendy's car, she asks Kevin, did I do something to bring this on everybody? Kevin replies, don't, Wendy. Wendy says, but why me? All those people out there wanting to have a premonition or see a ghost. But I don't. I just want it to stop. Just stop. Kevin says, I don't know why, Wendy. But you didn't do anything. Alright? This is just, I don't know. I mean, I wish I knew why. I wish I could come up with a guess. Even to make you feel okay. But, yeah, I can't. There's nothing I can do. She asks, can you drive? He chuckles, says yeah, and takes the keys. Kevin says, by the way, that picture of me, my head's not through the windshield or anything. Right? He's funny.
Yeah.
We cut to McKinley and Aaron at work. McKinley is loading a nail gun, which he plans on using to get rid of pigeons. Thankfully, I guess, he only hit one of the pigeons and the rest fly off. Well, psycho behavior there.
Yeah. Well, with his past rantings, it's not too surprising.
No.
Definitely seems like antisocial kid at school.
Yeah. No, they are generic emo antisocial kids.
Yeah.
She radios for. Oh, sorry, I jumped line. Wendy and Kevin show up, scaring Aaron at the front of the store. She radios for McKinley to come hear what Kevin and Wendy have to tell them. Aaron, when seeing her and McKinley's picture, says, "So let me get this straight. I'm going to OD on nail polish, and Ian is going to be embarrassed to death?" Kevin says, "You saw what happened to Wendy, right? What happened to the others? I mean, you just saw their pictures." Then the lights start to flicker. Death is here? No, it's just McKinley pranking them.
Yeah.
Wendy says, "We need to know who was sitting behind you on the roller coaster." Aaron responds, "Okay, who was sitting behind us on the roller coaster? Oh, wait. Wasn't it the one guy who was voted most likely manager at Red Lobster?" McKinley says, "You know what? I remember. There was this guy, black cloak. I didn't see his face. But, the ride attendant did take his sickle before the ride started. If that's helpful in any way." It's not. It's not McKinley. It's kind of rude, actually.
So funny, these guys.
Wendy asks, "Do you think we care if you laugh at us? This is our lives, okay? What choice do we have? Just give in to it?" McKinley says, "You know what? There is no it." Aaron jumps in. "Wait, are you guys saying death is like a person?" Kevin says, "No, it's like a force." McKinley says, "Yeah, well, you know what? A force is just a force. It's nothing else. It's just transferred energy. I mean, it has no goals, no awareness that it's a force." Kevin says, "But there is awareness, McKinley. In past cases, if the next in line is saved, it'd skip that person and then come back to them later. But we don't know that yet, somehow." Ian and Kevin continue arguing inaudibly as Wendy sees wind chimes blowing by. "But that's wind!" I was really excited in the first movie when I came up with Death's Wind, but now it just doesn't hit the same. They've cheapened Death's Wind, man. Wendy notices in the picture. Notices a banner. Wait, no, what? Yeah, Wendy notices a banner hanging in the stock room that looks the same type of like banner in the picture. So her and Kevin warn McKinley, who quickly backs up his forklift away from the boxes he's near, knocking a bag of birdseed on the floor, even though the boxes didn't move. McKinley is pissed that they warned him for nothing. Wendy says, "We're not going to apologize for trying to save your life. You haven't seen or been through what we have yet. You just don't understand, McKinley. This isn't a phase." Aaron says, sorry, the last two lines didn't actually happen, everyone, if you haven't seen the movie. I know honestly with this dialogue you wouldn't know that could have actually been in this movie. Aaron says, "Okay, who is next in this theory you have, me or Ian?" Kevin says, "Well, we know the order of how we were sitting on the roller coaster, but not how it works with people who sat together." Wendy says, "We don't know if Ashley or Ashlyn died first." Aaron says, "Death is bleeping complicated." Her and McKinley chuckle. McKinley asks, "No, you know what? It's not complicated. It's simple. People die. That's just part of life. 150,000 people a day, actually. Do you know? I mean, we're biological entities, and death is just the end of biological function. It's as simple as that." Kevin says, "How can you explain what happened to us as simple? If Wendy never had that premonition, and none of us had gotten off that ride, we'd be dead right now. Does that make sense to you?" McKinley says, "Oh yeah, Kevin. How come when I get out of... Wait, what? How come when I think this is someone has a plane heart attack, no one goes like, 'Oh wow, he was eating French toast when Princess Diana died in Paris. And then he saw her funeral on TV, and now he's dead.' You know why? Because that would sound crazy. So guess how you sound right now. Crazy. While he's giving his little speech, multiple boxes and stuff get pushed over, causing a box to hit the gas pedal for a different forklift, as well as like a chain, like turns the key. But no one notices it. Aaron says, "Zip, I'm done. Finish cutting the order so we can get out of here." By the way, he was in a line earlier that I didn't think mattered. Aaron calls him Zip and he calls her Pip. I think this is the only time that there's actually a line of theirs that mattered, that had them calling each other Zip or Pip. So that's, yeah. There we go. McKinley says okay. McKinley works on cutting the plywood while Wendy stares at the picture. There's a fake out where McKinley slips on sawdust, almost falling onto the saw, but he doesn't. The forklift continues moving towards them, running into a display of hammers with a hammer falling on the controls, causing the forklift to lift. McKinley says, "Okay, let's go with what you guys are saying. Let's just say, that death does have a conscious plan, and that it's been set into motion. Great. So Newton's third law of motion..." Wait, what? Oh, sorry. So Newton's third law of motion, and look, I'm just guessing that it goes for death too when he's working in our world. Newton says that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So that means that if death has taken action, so can we. And that an action we take might have an opposite reaction that thwarts death's intent. I don't think that's how that works, but, I'll let him run with it. What if, for example, the last in line were to make the ulterior choice? Kill themselves. Wow.
Utilitarian.
What did I say?
Ulterior?
Yeah.
Which is cooler word, objectively speaking.
Yeah.
But not the right.
My bad, guys. Sorry. That's pretty much going to ruin any plan death's put in motion. And even better, hey, it's going to save 5 skipped lives. And I'll pause here to say, sure, yeah, that's a great thought for you to have, because, yeah, sure, technically your character wouldn't know to not have that thought. But also, we know that's not how it works, because they told us in the last movie.
Yeah, not how it works.
Someone tried to end their own life when it wasn't their turn, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it turns out you just can't.
You have to die in the right order, which actually means you should really go super crazy when you know you're not last, and when you know you're last and start doing super crazy things that should kill you.
True.
Start being a straight up superhero, jump off a building, see what happens, and be like, I'm fine.
Sorry guys, can't die.
What are you gonna do?
Not my time.
Yeah, not my time. What are you gonna do, Death?
Oh man, he's really messing up.
This guy's not taking me seriously. This is what death sounds like.
I got a design, guys.
Well, that's why you guys should have died on that ride. I don't know why you guys got off. Who keeps giving you these premonitions? Kind of ruins my design.
Yeah, who is the one behind the premonitions?
No one, Chris. There's no answer to that in the 5 movies, from my understanding.
Because whoever they are, they're kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
Here's some prolonged suffering.
Maybe it's Death. Death wants to mess around a little bit. He's like, I want to make this a little harder on myself this time. So I'm gonna give this person a premonition and see what happens. Yeah, and then I could see how
long they can avoid.
What cool Rube Goldberg way can I kill them later? Yeah, this crash would be crazy, but what if I killed them, with a weight because of a scimitar in a picture or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if I also decide there's a new rule every time? Last time they did it in reverse order. This time I'm doing it due to pictures. Whoa, I'm crazy. I'm dead. Oh, I think this is a funny episode, but boy, is it going to be a long one. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
We could stop it, kill himself, put in motion. And even better, they say 5 skip by. Alright, while he says this, we see stuff being moved around by the rogue forklift. Wendy and Kevin look disapprovingly at McKinley, who says, "Any takers?" "Nah, I didn't think so." Wendy sees Death Wind blow the sawdust on the floor, before looking up and seeing wooden fence stakes above McKinley that looked like the banner, kind of. So she tackles him, and he's now out of the way right as they're about to fall on him. The ensuing chaos of everything causes Aaron to fall back into the nail gun from earlier, going off and killing her by shooting nails through her head and out into her hand in front of her face like it was in the picture.
Yeah.
And a fun kill. It's a fun little one. It's really... Actually, I think they used the practical effect they had and actually, kept it in the movie. Didn't, ruin it. So that's cool.
It is nice. I appreciate that.
We cut to Wendy and Kevin leaving the police station after being questioned for Aaron's death. Wendy tells Kevin that she told the cops everything about the pictures and Flight 180 and Frankie and Lewis and why they went to see McKinley and Aaron. Kevin asks, "Did they believe you?" Wendy replies, "Yeah, right. Would you believe me?" "No, they looked at me like I was crazy." Kevin says, 10 hours they had us in there. Wendy says, "For all we know, whoever was sitting behind Aaron is already dead, and we're next." Now, Ian almost died first, but we intervened, so it skipped Ian. That's how we regain control. If someone intercedes, the life that was supposed to be next is skipped. You already know this. You talked about how sometimes... But it's a revelation right now to her.
Yeah.
Kevin says, "All right, wait. So, going by the way we sound the roller coaster, well, I'm next. And then you." Wendy says, "We can beat this. We're so close. We can't give up." Kevin says, "All right. My dad's here. He's going to give me a ride back." Wendy says, You sure we shouldn't stick together?" And Kevin says, "It's just for a couple hours, all right? Go back, look at the pictures, see if you can find any more clues. And if anybody asks to see... And I'll ask everybody I see if they know anyone else who got off the ride. Okay? Was there something I should know about going?" What? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. Wendy says, "No, it's just... I'll just be freaking out every second, hoping you're okay." Kevin says, "Why? I mean, we don't even like each other. Come here." They hug, and he leaves. Aww. I guess. Yeah. It's such a half-baked, weird thing.
Yeah.
They hug and leave, and he leaves. Wendy goes to get in her car, and we see McKinley is in the van staring at her as the music swells. We cut to Wendy in her room, asleep in front of her computer. Julie comes in and takes the good luck bracelet because she wants it for the tricentennial for some reason. Wendy is woken up by the car horn outside from Julie's friends. She looks at the picture from when the attendant waited in front of her on the ride and realizes that the person in front of them was... a ghost fit! No, sorry. That's the wrong bit. It was her sister, because of the bracelet on her wrist. You'd think she would have noticed that before, but, she didn't. She goes over to the window and dramatically looks out as Julie gets in her friend's car. Then she calls Kevin to tell him that Julie is next, along with either her friend Amber or Perry. She tells him that Julie went to the tricentennial, and he tells her that he'll look for her there because he's doing security at the tricentennial, I guess. Yeah, he's got all these issues. He's really worried. I'm only going to be gone for a couple hours, but also I'm going to go work tonight at the tricentennial when I know that I'm next on death's list. Questionable, to say the least, Kevin.
Yeah.
Wendy is about to leave for the tricentennial when Kevin tells her it's time to talk about their pictures because they're so close to being up. She tells him that her picture has no clues because it's just Jason and her in front of a blank background at the park, and then she realizes she's wearing her school shirt, which says McKinley! So maybe that's a clue. And she tells him, and yours is the picture that I took when I flashed the camera in your face. So it's out of focus and overexposed, like Kevin, dramatically looking at a sign for the fireworks display, says, like a firework went off into my face. And then he puts the glasses on and they play the CSI Miami theme. You got the bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Again.
Thank you for being ready on that improv right there to just immediately start singing the song. Thank you.
Yeah.
On the road to the Tricentennial, Wendy's car radio turns itself on and plays "Turn Around and Look at Me" by the Vogues. So she does and sees McKinley's van is following her. She swerves out of the way to not hit a wolf that's there for reasons. I guess it's like a death omen, maybe? I don't know. Genuinely, no idea why this wolf is here. It does not at all matter. Does not come up again. It's just here randomly. She swerves out of the way, and that's it. We head to the Tricentennial, where Kevin looks around and sees a bunch of different fire that could make his face look like it did in the picture. We also see a horse being tied up. Ben Franklin says, "The kite is aloft. Now let us hope for some lightning." Kevin says, "Obscenity you, Ben Franklin."
Yeah.
Which actually was, like I said it like making fun of it, but it actually was kind of a funny line the way it was delivered in the scene. Ben Franklin is played by the late Graham Andrews. Wendy arrives at the Tricentennial. Kevin stops some kids playing with sparklers near the fireworks display. He sees Julie and her friends and goes towards her. A ramrod falls over and hits a cannonball, causing it to roll over and knock one of the supports under the fireworks display, causing it to wobble because it's in like a trailer. So now it just has two wheels, so it's wobbling. Kevin tells Julie and her friends they need to come with him for their own safety, but Julie walks away in anger. The fireworks display starts and it spooks one of the horses, who starts jumping. Two stupid kids with light firecrackers under the horse. Wendy sees Julie and starts running towards her as well. The horse runs off, pulling the stake out that it was tied up to out of the ground as it starts to run wild. Kevin catches up with Julie and tells her she's in danger, and he wants to explain it to her, and she flips him off in response. Wendy sees this and remembers she took the picture of her, flipping her off, in front of a carousel in the opening. A carousel has horses! Oh my gosh! She yells, "Julie, look out!" And Kevin pushes Julie out of the way as a horse comes by. But the rope gets tied around her neck and starts dragging her. Fun fact. This, Amanda something? I forgot her name. Amanda Cherry, maybe? That feels wrong. I don't know. Whatever the actress name who plays her. You know?
Yeah.
Julie. Whoever plays yeah. Whoever plays Julie, actually did the stunt. Like they had it was a harness obviously, but she actually got pulled by a horse.
Dang.
Yeah. Kevin is no, I lost my place. Yeah, so it's drags her for a little bit. Kevin is able to cut the rope right before Julie would have been pulled into the spikes of, I believe, a tiller?
Yeah.
Okay. Amanda Crew is her name, because it's written right here. Did this stunt herself. I just jumped a little ahead to talk about the stunt.
Oh.
And we will move on. Wendy tells Julie to tell her who is on the roller coaster with her right as Amber and Perry run up. Perry hears that she's next and stands up right as a flagpole that the horse broke off comes flying through the air and impales her.
Yeah.
And she's dead. Wendy realizes that Kevin is next and runs towards him. Kevin is kicked by a horse and falls into the food table, causing a kebab skewer to impale the gas line of the grill, which causes a giant fireball to explode in his face. But Wendy is able to pull him out of the way, so he doesn't die. Hey, he's good. He's fine. Well, you thought he was going to die there? No, we're just going to do 7 fake-out deaths. McKinley shows up, and Kevin and Wendy try to yell at him to leave. Wendy says, "You have to stay away from me." McKinley responds, "Have to? Wow, that's extreme." "Oh, no way. Do I cause your death? Just like you caused Aaron's?" Julie, Kevin, and Wendy try to run past, but he gets in their way. McKinley continues, "What? Did you have a vision? Was I in it? Was I in a picture? Just tell me how to start it off. Let's get this over with." Wendy says, "You'll save me if you just stay away. Then it'll all be over," McKinley says. "What do I care? It skipped me. For me, it is over. I'm not dying. I'm not dying." Wendy hears Death's wind blow. The firework display falls over and shoots fireworks towards them. Wendy, Julie, and Kevin drop down in time. McKinley does not. But they all miss him, flying behind him, hitting a cherry picker. Oh, well, that's disappointing. McKinley says, "You see, I'm not going to die. It's you, Wendy. You're dead." The crane then falls over, dropping a giant sign on McKinley, smushing him to death.
Yeah.
And then we fade to white, transitioning to 5 months later. And, just like the first movie, everything from this point on was added later. The original ending was McKinley dying. In a slightly less gory death. They added more gore when they reshot stuff. Yeah. So yeah, now we're 5 months later. Wendy is on a train. There's a guy singing and playing guitar. Wendy is talking to her friends about dinner plans. But then the musician, he starts playing Rocky Mountain... Oh, no, sorry. Turn Around and Look at Me by the Vogues. Wendy looks dramatically at him while Death's wind blows through her hair. She then notices that in a reflection, it looks like she's on train 180, which means it's actually train 081, which I don't feel like would ever be written like that.
Nope.
But
nope.
It works for this moment, I guess.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. The train conductor, also voiced by National Treasure Tony Todd, says, "The next stop is the end of the line." So she tells her friends that she needs to get off at the stop, even though it's not theirs. She can't get off because all the new passengers coming on. One of said new passengers is... It's Ghostface, right? This time? No? Oh, you're right. It's Julie. There it is, right there in the notes. Wendy says, "I thought you weren't coming tonight." And Julie replies, "Dad's car just dies, like, out of nowhere, and he couldn't get it fixed anywhere on a holiday." Oh, yeah, by the way, it's like Thanksgiving. So instead of sitting around for hours, I lucked out and caught an early train. "I hope I'm not messing you up," or Wendy replies, "No, it's just, I think I had a sense that you were coming now. I was feeling like I did that night." Julie says, No, it's over. You, me, Kevin, went over 1,000 scenarios. Ian was gonna cause your death. You intervened, and it skipped us. We see that a rat is eating a chocolate bar really close to important wiring.
Maybe the chocolate bar blows up or something.
Probably. Julie continues, "Look, I'm not worried. I ran to Kevin at home. He's not worried. And if I were you, until something happens to me and then Kevin, you've got nothing to worry about." Wendy says, "You're right. I want you to meet my roommate and my friend." They walk over to meet them, but Wendy sees that Kevin is on the train. She goes over to him and says, "What are you doing here?" Kevin says, "Wendy, Julie, what are the chances?" Wendy says, "How long have you been on this train?" Kevin replies, Since home? I was heading up to check out the game. I was going to look you up afterwards. You okay? Something wrong?" Then the rat gets electrocuted by the wire, causing the track switcher to switch the other direction. They hit it, and the train starts to shake, and they start to crash. Julie is hit by a piece of debris flung out of the other side of the train. Kevin flies towards the window, hitting it in a similar way to his picture, before the glass breaks and he gets splattered all over the wall. Then the train comes to a complete stop, with one last crash. Wendy is flown from the train. She comes to and is alive, when another train comes towards her, about to hit her when she cuts back to when she first sees Kevin on the train in this really cool shot of her eye shedding a single tear that she did on accident in like the first take, but there wasn't like a good. There was other issues with the take, so then the director really wanted her to do it, so it ended up taking her like 14 takes to try to get it perfect, to like actually get it to happen, because it's like, you know, really hard to make a single tear drop down your face when you're trying to keep your eyes open, especially. So, yeah, dedication to. I'll bring up here. Yeah, she has like a lot of dedication, because there's all these other moments where she had to like get really like, you know, sad, like when Jason died earlier, and she like would listen to like this playlist of sad songs over and over again to just get in that headspace and stuff. So yeah, she's a dedicated actress. Once again, nothing against Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Any issues, I'm pretty sure, are with the writing and or direction, but I also love them.
Yeah. I'm a fan of. I'm a fan.
Yeah. All right, Chris, settle down.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Whoa!
She tells them about how the train is going to crash. Kevin tries to pull the emergency brake, but it doesn't work. And we fade to black, hearing crashing sounds, and go to the credits. Did they live? Did they die? The world may never know. But yeah, I really like this movie. I don't like it more than the first. I do feel like the first had like an extra bit of charm, but I really like. I feel like this movie. The second movie is also fun, but I feel like this movie. None of them are good. I'll say that first. None of them are really good. I understand that, but this one I feel like hits closer to the charm of that first one, like the overacting, the weird writing, the horrible dialogue, but it all just works. I can't quantify it really, like it, because like something like I brought up Star Wars a couple times, but like some of that's nostalgia, and I understand that. I have no nostalgia for this movie. I just watched it for the first time a week ago, but I love it for just the weirdness that it is. And I think it must obviously be, you know, James Wong's directing and Glenn Morgan's writing, because, you know, I don't feel like the second movie had this, but this movie does, and the first one had it. So like, it's something about them. Which, hey, is that saying they're a good writer and director? Oh, I don't know, but it works for something really special that I really enjoy. I really like this movie. I also really like a lot of the characters. Like, yes, there's some terrible characters in there, but I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead's performance, like in her character, as well as Kevin. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy this movie a lot. That's it. I kind of told you that throughout the podcast, but yeah, it's good. It goes closer to the charm of the first one.
So, keeping with the trend of every review of these movies so far, I think this is my new favorite Final Destination. I think this one is actually my favorite Final Destination movie.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna change this time.
What?
I do like the roller coaster. For the premonition deaths.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the way that they orchestrated the whole thing. It looks fairly realistic for the time.
Yeah.
I like the acting in this movie. I don't know how to describe it other than just saying I do. Like, I know it's not good, but there are some of it, like some parts of it that are like charming. Yeah, this movie is special in a lot of ways that shouldn't work to make a enjoyable piece of entertainment.
That's fair.
And yet it does.
It really does, man.
And I do have a big soft spot for Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And to a certain degree, Mr. Ryan Merriman. Because I do love Smart House as well as
Luck of
the Irish.
Irish.
Yeah, I do have
and
nostalgia for those
Ring
movies.
2? No?
I did actually watch Ring 2,
Okay.
but not as a child. That was
Mm.
like late teens.
He's also the most pointless character ever in Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later this year. And next week, we're going to talk about a movie that I'm sure is going to take Chris's top spot in the Final Destination ranking next week. We're going to continue it with the loved and not hated, not maligned by all the fans, the Final Destination. Now it has the word "the" in front of it.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll watch that next week. I guess.
Yippee.
Can we skip to 5? I heard 5's good. Can we skip 4?
Oh.
No? Okay, fine.
Oh, how do people feel about 3? Is
It's
3 being good, unpopular opinion?
No, it depends. Like specifically, I know James from Dead Meat hates this one because he hates all the character. He hates all the character. Like he thinks most of the characters suck, which I get. Like there are some like elements of them, a lot of them that suck. So I understand that. But yeah. But then you go to, he doesn't love it, but he did mention that this is a lot of people's favorite in his video. So I think there is a lot of people who love this movie. I also love this movie, but I have a special spot for Devon Sawa after watching Chucky. So Devon Sawa, as well as I also grew up loving like Role Models and Goon. So Sean William Scott also pushed that movie above for me. But yeah, no, this movie's great. This is definitely like a very close second for me so far, and probably won't change much because hey, we've proven consensus wrong before. Maybe I'll love 4, but I'm not looking forward to next week. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. If you like this podcast, 5-star review on all your podcast apps. Let's get through this real quick because it's been way too long. Next week, no, I already said that. No, what am I doing? YouTube.com/@horrorboys. Go there, videos, like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. Patreon.com/horrorboys. You want the podcast early sometimes. Not this episode. This episode wasn't early. It'll be a day early. But yeah, that's it. I'm Austin. That's Chris. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.